Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today is part 2 of a two-parter. Yesterday, we asked if chasing allocated is over. Today, we're going to try to determine what's next. My name is Miss Beka Show. Please join me welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, for the Steve and Beka Show.
Hey-oh! Welcome to the Steve and Beka Show. My name's Steve. That's Beka.
So this is an upbeat show.
The upbeat show, yes, because today is a fun day. So, yes, we're going to be talking about some options that are out there. Maybe you're sick and tired, like we are, of chasing that allocated stuff, knowing it's a battle you can't win. And we'll get to a nice list of things that are possibilities out there and discuss those. But before we get to that, on yesterday's show, as we went out to break, you were drinking something pretty special, weren't you? The Yellowstone Original Family Recipe, which is kind of cool.
Yes. It's 6 years old. It is 100 proof. Comes in this beautiful bottle. And it is quite a difference from regular Yellowstone, to say the very least.
Yeah, what's cool about it is really the original recipe. And a lot of the stuff is, marketing and things like that. You see, even like Chris Morris admits, like their pre-prohibition recipe, he just made it up to be what would fit the time. It wasn't like it was a historic, he utilized that recipe. This is really, Beam has family archives and they have the recipe in there. And he's able to get the grains, the white corn that they utilize and things like that. So he's able to get those things and then replicate it. Again, it's not going to be exact. If you could go back in time, sure. Even if Beck and I both owned our own distillery and we lived where we're at and we did everything exactly the same, all the same equipment, all the same ingredients, those would taste different. That's just how whiskey is. So that's not to say it tastes exactly like that, but it gives you a much more real representation of what the product was years ago versus what today. And it delivers on that. It tastes different than anything that has ever been put out by Limestone Branch under the Yellowstone name. It's fantastic. And Becca, the best part of the story is I went down and I hung out with Steve Beam and I bought a bottle of that. But Steve Beam said, this is very different. And, some people absolutely love it. Some people don't like it at all. But I know I told you, but I'll let you tell the audience. He when he described it to me, because I hadn't tasted it yet, I was like, what does it taste like? And what did he say to me?
He said the closest thing he thinks it resembles is a Neely product.
Yes, he did. That's exactly what he said.
You should have seen, because you texted that to Royce and I read it off to Royce and Royce just got the biggest smile on his face. He said, Steve said that about me. And I was like, yeah. Like that's really, and I would agree. It definitely has like those really interesting notes to it, like the funkiness to it. Like there's a Neely funk. Like we've talked about on shows a lot. A lot of our listeners who have tasted our stuff, they know about the Neely funk. It's not a bad funk. It's just a very interesting, it's easy to pick out in a lineup. If you put this Yellowstone on a blind tasting with some Neely products, I think that people would get confused. I don't think that they would necessarily know which one is Yellowstone and which one's Neely.
It's so cool. Steve Beam knows your products lines well enough himself to be able to make that correlation. I mean, to be able to say that to me, this is what it tastes. And Steve Beam's incredibly proud of that, which is kind of cool. The fact that he's incredibly proud that he has produced a product that tastes like Neely Family Distillery bourbon. I mean, that's crazy, right?
It's really, really cool. Like, yeah. I mean, it's like the fact that he said that is amazing. I mean, even just the line for, over at the Burn is where they released that at. Right. The Bourbon Country Burn. And the line was everyone else's line.
I know.
There was no lines.
Yeah, you want to walk up to Bardstown Bourbon Company or Makers or whoever else was there. Just walk right up.
Yeah. There was, you just walk and get a sample. The line for Yellowstone Limestone Branch was massive.
Yeah. So what do I do? What do I do when I see a big line?
You just go to the back to see if you you walk up to the people to see if they'll do anything. Do you know who I am?
There's people pissed off. Like, wait a minute. You can just walk behind this thing? And I'm like, no, you can't.
Hey, did you get a sample?
I did, yes.
Did you?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you're the MC. You should have.
Oh, sure. So,
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was pretty funny. But just there was probably about 40 people in line for hours.
Yeah. That line never. It's an example of a line that never changes because as quick as they could get them out of there, there's more people getting into the line. Yeah. So it never got short the whole time.
The funniest part was, not all these people are even bourbon drinkers. They didn't even know what the big deal was. They just saw there's lines they were getting in line too.
Right, exactly.
They didn't know why they were there, but they were there.
It's a funny audience because it's a bourbon event, but for them, it's really just a biking event, something different. It's they're really not bourbon fans. They're very nice people. I'm not ripping on them at all. They're very incredibly nice. They're actually very interested about bourbon and willing to learn, but they don't really know it. It's just a different audience than we're used to, where everybody knows about everything.
It's not like going to a bourbon festival.
Right, yeah, which
is what we're used to.
Yeah, that's the audience we're used to, where they know all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
This audience, they don't know anything. And if they ask a question, I always say they ask about Pappy Van Winkle. Where do you get Pappy at? That's all they know about him.
Of course.
Yeah, one time they had time to kill. They had time to kill, Beka. They're like, just go up on the stage and answer questions. So I go up there and I'm like, we got a couple minutes till our next act comes on. I just want to, I'm in the bourbon industry. If you have any questions, and I got 3 questions are all about Pappy. Where do you find it? Why is it so expensive? What is Pappy Van Winkle? I mean, it was like a Pappy session. So yeah,
that's the Pappy session.
That's what they know. So.
And then the coolest part for me was that while they were closing up all the tastings, a unnamed woman that was working there, we cannot say who she was, she walked up to you and me and Royce and Amy, and she said, I've got this bottle here, and I know you guys are friends of Steve Beam and Steve Fonte, and Steve Fonte would never want me to leave an event with a half drank bottle, so you guys should probably take this home.
Yeah, I snatched it because I didn't want her to think about it and not say yes. So I grabbed it, but it wasn't going to be for me to begin with because I got a bottle, so I had secured one already. So I gave it to Beka then. So
so we snuck it into my purse and I left with the bottle.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Fantastic. Yeah.
All right. Well, guess what? It is time to drink. What are you going to be drinking there, Beka?
I'm going to have some more of this Yellowstone family recipe, which
good choice.
Does not have much of a pop.
Okay. Not good, but we'll see. I've got Pacific Flyway here from our friends at Golden Beaver. So, and this should be good. This is a pretty full bottle, and I haven't opened it for a while, so I'm going for the win here. Ooh,
better than mine.
Yeah, just barely. I thought that was going to be explosive. It wasn't. It was just enough to win. I guess it's how I wanted to take tests in school. I didn't want to do well. That just meant that you wasted too much time studying. I just wanted enough to pass. So that's what
passed.
I passed.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about things other than allocated bourbon, things that may be of more interesting and that are accessible. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
Scott Pinkowski loves the Bourbon Daily.
But can I have a kiss?
No. That doesn't work.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking allocated bourbon, but things to do besides that.
Yes, we are. So, Beka, I put a little list together here. I got 6 different things. So, you're sick of the allocated game. You're tired of chasing your tail, and you want to, get something that is good, unique, and different. And I think the list here is pretty cool. So, the first one is, and of course, I'm in this business, so I'm pretty interested in this. It's barrel picks. Barrel picks vary from your normal bourbon you're going to find on the shelf. And I always say that there's all different kinds of barrels. There's barrels that are worse than what you're going to find, under a brand on the shelf. There's ones that are equal to what you find out there. There's ones that are better than you find out there. And then there's the really crazy good ones. That's what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. We always want to find those ones that are just off profile in the best way possible and just so unique. And as you drink them, you know that that bottle lowers, that's going to be your only time to ever get that, because it's unique.
Which there's nothing worse than that.
Oh yeah, it's stressful.
When you find a very good barrel pick,
like
let's talk about the Bananas Foster's pick.
Right.
That's a depressing bottle to almost be gone.
Right. Yeah.
Because when are you going to have one that tastes like that?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Bananas Foster's from Stubby's was just, whew. We still have some, and I've been snagging a few drinks of it every once in a while, and it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely special for sure. The next one. Oh, go ahead.
No, go on, Steve.
The next one I was going to say is grain forward whiskey. So you look at what's going on in American whiskey right now. Everything always was about, how old is something? 8, 10, 12 years old. And it's really barrel forward. You're going to get all those oak notes in that. But it seems like there's been a more emphasis on, grain forward whiskeys these days, things that are younger, but don't have younger notes. To me, what what tastes younger is when they try to over oak something and be like, look, it tastes like bourbon. I'm like, no, it tastes like over oaked, and yeah, you've either left it in too small of a barrel for too long, or you've done something that is not good. To me, that's what tastes too young, not necessarily grain forward. And you look at companies like Leopold Brothers. This is what they're striving for. They're that's what they want. Neely, this is
grain forward does not mean young.
Right.
And this is something that
it's a misnomer.
Yeah, this is something that I've been a little bit on a platform about a little bit. I've been preaching about this a little bit to some people that have been coming in. I think that one of the biggest problems in whiskey and especially to general consumers is that there's been heritage brands for so long and they've been making bourbon for a long time. And so the best stuff that they put out is going to be their 10, 12, 15, 20-year-old stuff. And it's because they're not working very hard to put a really good distillate into the barrel.
Right.
They're not trying to put a really good distillate into it.
Age will take care of that, they figure. Yeah,
exactly. And that's all they care about. Like, well, it's fine what it tastes like. Like, it's going to age out well.
Right.
And they can wait all that time to see what happens. But now with this, this big jump in craft distilleries, and the craft distilleries, for the most part, I can't speak for everyone, but I think for a lot of times, the craft distilleries are putting a really good distillate into the barrel to start, and then it tastes good at a younger age. But people get scared of that because they see that it's 3 or 4 years old, and they go, well, so when is it going to be good then? When is it going to actually mature into something better? And you're like, it is good now. They go, well, I mean, it is really good. It's just like, what about when it's older? And it's like, it doesn't have to be older to be good. It just has to be good when it goes into the barrel. And you can get that influence from the barrel on it to add into the flavors. But if you can taste the distillate, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's okay to taste what it tasted like because it can be really, really good. So I think that people are starting to realize that a little bit more these days, that whiskey can be good at a younger age.
Yeah, it takes a long time, I think, but they're starting to figure it out, it feels like.
They're starting to understand that more. And we try to educate people on that all the time in the distillery. And it's just that it does not need to be a 10-year-old bourbon to be good. And I mean, there's even people that think that they go, well, it can't even be bourbon until it's 4 years old, right?
Right.
Oh, it can't even be bourbon until it's 2 years old, right? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Don't you feel like the people, Beka, that are like, so say you're like, let's go out to lunch and talk about this. So the people that are like, it has to be, taste like, the big heritage brands that are 10 and 12 years old. I bet you if you go out to lunch with them, they order the chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese. They don't want things that challenge their palate. They just want, simple.
No.
Yeah.
They want it to all taste the same.
Right.
Which I think sucks. I mean, I literally had someone one time at the distillery tell me this doesn't taste like bourbon. And I go, well, it's bourbon, so that's actually what bourbon tastes like.
Right.
I mean, you can't say, like, if it is bourbon and you say this doesn't taste like bourbon, well, it does. It's just a different type of bourbon than you're used to.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just because you don't think it's not your norm.
Yeah, that's like drinking a Sprite and saying this doesn't taste like Coca-Cola. Well, it's not supposed to. They're both sodas, but they're
just different types.
Yeah,
I mean, it's wild to me what some people say in the distillery, and I'm just like, oh God, we need to educate these people. That's why we focus on it a lot. We focus on a lot of education so people know, and that's just how it is. People don't understand it, but I think it's so much more fun drinking stuff that is still good, but doesn't taste like the one you just had before. Isn't that more exciting?
Right. You would think.
I think that's so much more exciting.
So the next one, again, I think offers, a great opportunity to expand your palate is single malts. And it is, a growing category. It's not going to reach the levels that bourbon are, but that doesn't matter. I do think it's going to get bigger because barrel costs are rising. And, people are tired of paying $350 a barrel and have to get new oak for every new whiskey they create. It's nice to get a secondary line that, you can reinvest those barrels that you've already bought and make a great whiskey with it. So I do think single malts are going to grow, and it's a very diverse category. I mean, there's people that do it well, and there's plenty that don't do it well. So it's kind of fun to taste and discover somebody who's doing it well. It's cool.
Oh, yeah. I love a good malt, a good single malt. So I think that that'll be an interesting one to come out even more. I don't think that many people are as well versed in single malts yet.
Right.
So I think that that'll be a really interesting category once it gets.
We can all learn together.
Larger.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That'll be fun. The other thing is blends. I mean, you certainly there's been plenty of blending going on, at the level of craft brands, and now we're seeing that the big guys doing it more and more. And Freddie, no, of course, kind of leading the way in heritage brands. And then you see somebody who has the talent like Jackie does, that ability to take different offerings, taste them, and then figure out how to put them together where the sum of the parts is better than any of them individually, which is cool. I mean, I love Neely Family Distillery stuff, but I said, when I tasted that Hidden Barn, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted from Neely. And it's an amalgamation. It's a combination of different things from Neely Family put together as orchestrated by Jackie. So it's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a talent to be able to blend that stuff together.
Right.
I mean, it's not just dumping a bunch of random things together.
No, it is not.
It's like, that's just not how it works. Like you actually Justine Mays, she's fantastic at doing blends.
Yeah. It's like the people that are good at it. I'm not saying they can 100% know exactly what it's going to taste like, but they have an idea of something that they're building. So they're building towards something, and it's like they taste something like, okay, it needs this much of it in there. So they have the ability to kind of in their mind break down things and then put it together, which is not how my mind works. So I would just be, if you told me to create a blend, I would be dumping things together and then seeing if I find lightning in a bottle, and somehow, some way it just worked, because I wouldn't know what I'm doing. I wouldn't.
I completely agree, because it's like, I mean, I want to start working on it. We're going to have our aged moonshine out soon, and I know we're going to do a blend, and we're going to do some single barrels. But the blend should, like, just because it's a blend, it doesn't mean that it needs to be the lesser product than a single barrel.
Yeah.
It should be just as good. And so you do kind of have to mix in some of those unicorns into the blend to raise it up to that level sometimes. Because there was, a few of the barrels that like I liked. There was nothing off about them, but there was nothing that stood out. But if we only put together the ones that were like just okay, then that's all that's going to taste like.
Yep.
They're not going to enhance each other. You need to have some other ones mixed into it. So it's an interesting craft. Not one that I'm going to say I'm fantastic at least not yet, but I will try.
Yeah. Continue to learn. The next one isn't necessarily a huge thing yet in whiskey, but you do see it starting to happen. Of course, it's been a big thing in beer for years, and that's collaborations. You do see a lot of breweries collaborating together, and they both, it's co-branded on the label. And now we're starting to see some of that happen a little bit. You saw Dickel and Leopold Brothers do something which was actually a very good product. Yeah, I know locally we had Still 630 and Stumpy's do a collaboration together, and you're starting to see some of these things happen. I'd like to see even more of them happen, and that's stuff I'd be automatically interested in.
Oh yeah, especially if they're brands whose flavor profile are completely separate from each other.
Right. Oh yeah.
Something that is not similar in any way. I think that would make it really exciting to taste some of them, especially when it's two brands that you really like.
Yeah.
I say it shouldn't just be like a brand that you don't like and one you do like, and you hope that you're going to like it now. If it's two brands that you actually like, but they just are different flavor profiles, I think that's fun.
Yeah. And it can get as fun and as creative as the people behind the brands want to make it. So that's the cool thing too. So yeah, it's whatever they want to turn that into. All right. And my last one that I've got is distillery only offerings. So you're talking about gift shop things like you recently had, Papa's birthday rye, things that are, very limited edition that are highly coveted by the bourbon family. And if you think about allocated, even like Pappy Van Winkle, again, 7,500 cases, it's not a small amount, even though that the demand far outstrips that. But, how many cases of the birthday rye did you have? I mean, enough from one barrel, whatever that was. Not a lot.
Not very much.
Yeah.
And it was delicious.
Yeah. So that's the true stuff that is really fun to track down and find, I think.
Oh yeah. And then I think that, like the other day, it feels good when you walk into a distillery and you find something that is not something that you could find on the shelf, and it's still there. It's not that you got there too late in the day and so now it's gone and it was posted about. Like the other day, we had Hidden Barn on the shelf in the distillery. But I didn't post about it. I didn't say about it to anyone. I didn't do anything. We just put it on the shelf, and then whoever naturally came in here, they could buy a bottle if they wanted to. And there was a lot of people who were really excited when they walked in because they were like, this is great. They're like, we didn't know it would even be here. And I'm like, it's usually not.
Right.
It's not always on the shelf here. Like, this is not something that we carry all the time, but we didn't want it to be just the big bourbon people that, cruise down to pick up their bottles. We want it to be people who just came off the interstate and were lucky enough to get a bottle.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You don't have anything else to add to that list, do you? I think that's pretty
I don't think so. I think that's like, those are all the best things to find.
Yeah.
It's single barrels. Single barrels for me are like the best that you can do. Like that's always the most fun to find anywhere, assuming that they're good, obviously. But I think that the single barrels, which is what you specialize in now, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
With your barrel store. I just think that that's the coolest things you can do. Is I think that that's like, I love all the things on the list, but I think that single barrels are always just going to be one of the most fun things.
Well, there you go. There is what we say, and check them out. There's some good things that you can actually, find and acquire. So please consider those if you are frustrated with what's going on in allocated bourbon. All right, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Beka, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, though, is abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. We put all of our previous shows or blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Come by and see us at the ABV Barrel Shop. We are in Arnold, Missouri, a St. Louis metro community. So check us on the internet at abvbarrelshop.com. That was well spoken. I've been working with a PR team to get that plug down, so it sounded good. Sign up, though, for email distribution at abvbarrelshop.com. That'd be a cool thing. And then you know exactly what we've got and what's coming as well. So that's excellent. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit the Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right, great job today, Beka. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's Birthday Barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.